President Trump promising to go after those responsible after 2 U.S. soldiers and 1 civilian were shot and killed in an ambush attack in Syria. Here's President Trump.
I must say in Syria also, we had an attack in Syria, and we had 3 great patriots terminated by bad people, and not the Syrian government. It was ISIS. The Syrian government fought by our side. I can tell you in Syria, there will be a lot of damage done to the people that did it. They got the person, the individual person, but there'll be big damage done.
And General Jack Keane, Fox News senior strategic analyst, joins us now. The New York Times wrote this, that the deadly attack on U.S. troops poses growing challenge for Syria's leader, saying that the attack further complicates President al-Shara's efforts to unify the country and rebuild relationships with the international community. Tell us how you see it this morning, sir.
Yeah, well, certainly it's a tragic incident, to be sure, where we lost 3 great American patriots. But the reality is we do have a government to work with here, being Bashar al-Assad has gone, and al-Shara obviously deposed him, and he has a questionable background given his affiliation with al-Qaeda. But everything he's been demonstrating so far, that he's been trying to bring the country together by consolidating these factions that have always been operating against Assad, but not necessarily operating together. So he's moving in that direction. Obviously, we also have ISIS in the country. They're in the eastern part of the country. There's about 5,000 of them there that are still there, and about 9,000 ISIS and their families are in detention facilities. Our 1,000 troops or so are working with the Syrian Democratic Forces. These are Syrian Kurds and Syrian Arabs, to make certain that while ISIS was deposed as a global terrorist threat in 2019 by the Trump administration, they're there to make certain that they don't rise again. And obviously this is a major challenge for the new regime that's in power there. But the good news is we got somebody to work with finally in doing this. It's also reported, Dana, that the member that killed our people and also wounded Syrian security forces was indeed a member of the security forces, likely an ISIS person who joined those security forces for that reason. We don't have all the evidence of that. That's still out there to be determined through an investigation. But certainly our military leaders who oversee the operation in Syria and in the Middle East have said this is ISIS related. So we'll pursue that and get to the bottom of it. And obviously we'll do everything we can to run these ISIS terrorists into the ground for sure.
Let's switch topics, because the Nobel Prize winner, Maria Corina Machado, she's from Venezuela. She's the opposition leader. She said she's fully behind what President Trump is trying to do to get Maduro out. Watch here.
We do support these actions because, Margaret, we are facing not a conventional dictatorship. This is a very complex criminal structure that has turned Venezuela into a safe haven of international crime and terrorist activities, starting with Russia, Iran, Cuba, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Colombian guerrilla, the drug cartels, operating freely and directed in partnership with Maduro and his regime.
What are you paying attention to in this part of the world right now?
Well, I think what Machado is really saying there, and I'm certainly the President administration welcomes it, is that she is enthused about the increasing pressure that is put on Maduro to include stopping the flow of oil. At least there was a down payment on that with taking one of the tanker ships. But there's a lot more that can be done if that is the intent in terms of blockades, etc. This is a pressure campaign that's unfolding before our eyes here. The demonstration of military force, certainly the taking down of the navigation and maritime routes of drug transfers, now the oil tanker, and other options that are available to the president. Obviously, the president wants regime change. He's trying to accomplish that by putting pressure on those around Maduro and Maduro himself to voluntarily leave the country, or to have people that are supporting him now pressure him to leave the country, without the United States having to forcibly remove him like we did in 1989 with Noriega and 1994 with the military dictator in Haiti. Both of those are very similar in a sense. Fraudulent elections, around these narco trafficking, particularly in Panama. So this is a similar situation. And I think I appreciate the patience that the president is doing here, but also the perseverance and sticking to the task at hand.
Two great virtues, right? Patience and perseverance. General Jack Keane, thank you so much.
Yeah, great talking to you, Dana. Thank you.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.